All right, everybody, so welcome back to another edition of Gear Talk Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about the InReach Mini 2, one of my favorite tools when I'm out riding in the backcountry. Let's do it. All right, so for me, there's only a couple of necessities that I feel are required when you're going out to do anything remote. And one of those is some way to communicate or get help if you need it. Now, the Garmin InReach Mini 2 definitely does this. Initially, I was a little skeptical about being able to get in touch with people or have people get in touch with me at any time. The solitude of going out into the unknown for years to me was part of the adventure. But now, life's a little bit different. I have 3 kids, I'm married, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to me, mostly for their sake. So when I started to look into a way to communicate when I was out away from cell service, this was one of the options that I came up with. And I had the first iteration of this in the Garmin InReach Mini, and now I have the InReach Mini 2. There's also a 3 out there, which I'll put a link to in the description of this video. But at this point, I still think the 2 is a really solid option for what you need in the backcountry. So let's get into some of those features, functionality, whether or not I think this thing is reliable, its durability, and then we'll get into the pros and the cons of it. All right, so first of all, this thing functions as a two-way messenger between you and another person. You can also have 2 of these, and it'll enable you to communicate with both of you when both parties do not have cell coverage. Now, of course, you have to get a subscription for something like this. I pay about $15 a month Canadian, and then I pay a $65 a year annual fee for the insurance if I need to push that SOS button. There are other options. I have the bottom barrel insurance. You can go right up into a really high level tiered insurance if you were doing things like guiding. But in my case, and in most people's case, I feel like the package that I have would be okay. So let's look at some of the features and functions of this unit. You can pre-program some messages right into this thing, so it can be a standalone unit. We call these canned messages. I think mine are like, hey, I'm okay. Everything's going kind of to plan. I have another one that's like, I'll be late, but everything's okay. I have another one that's like, somebody's hurt, but it's no big deal. And then I have one that's basically like, that's an SOS that would go along with, hitting that SOS button. You choose who you want these messages to go to. You do have like a phone book that you can, message a number of people. But for me, most of my messages go to my wife and, sometimes somebody else if my wife is with me. The unit can also track you like a GPS, letting people know, leaving those breadcrumbs and letting people know where you are at certain intervals of time. Obviously, the longer the interval, the longer the battery life. And that's one thing that I do think is amazing about this unit. The battery life is incredible. I've taken this out for 2 to 3 week adventures, haven't had to charge it. There's also claims that you can leave this thing turned off for a year, turn it on, and the battery will still have some charge. And I don't know if I can attest to a year completely, but I've definitely left this thing in the gear cabinet for a really long period of time, came back, turned it on, and just had like 40, 50%. So, the claims are probably true. The battery life on this thing is insane. A couple of the other features that it has is if you do get lost, you can actually do something called track back, and it'll turn you around. It'll take you, back where you came from with this unit. And it'll also give you weather reports, which I've done a number of times, and they are reliable. And I would say another really cool feature. Now that's standalone with the unit. One way that this satellite messenger really shines is that you can connect it to your cell phone. And that enables you to have, a bunch more features. Essentially, it connects to your cell phone via Bluetooth. And then what it does is your cell phone kind of treats this as the middleman. And then you can send text messages just like you would send anyone. And it just uses this to contact satellites. And then boom, you have your sent text message. You'll also receive those messages through this to your phone. So again, super handy if you want to carry your phone with you. In saying that, you can also download the Garmin app that complements this, and that allows you to use things like GPS and maps on your cell phone, kind of giving you a bigger display and a bigger screen, making things a lot more convenient. But again, not necessary, but definitely a benefit. I use my cell phone. So when it comes to reliability, I have never had an issue with this. I would want to test it before you go out. It always says when you turn it on, test this unit before you go out into a place where there's no cell service. One time I did go out and I didn't have the app downloaded onto a new phone. So, I was kind of screwed there. I had to use this as a standalone unit because obviously I didn't have cell service, so I couldn't download the Garmin app. I really do find messages are okay. They go through, deep valleys, heavily wooded areas, heavily overcast. I do find sometimes they take a little bit longer, but they do always get through, which is nice. Again, with battery life, you have 10-minute tracking. So every 10 minutes, it'll give a breadcrumb. That'll give you 14 days of battery life. And then you have a 30-minute breadcrumb, which will give you 30 days of battery life. So let's talk about durability. This thing is rugged. I've had it for a few years. I've dropped it. It's been beat up. My dog's even chewed on the top of it. It's very weatherproof. It's been completely mudded up. It's been submerged. There's no problem in regards to durability with this unit. I've beat the crap out of it, and it's still going strong. It is also a really nice size. When I was looking to get into a unit, I wanted it to be small enough, and Spot was another option that I had. I went with the InReach because of its size, really. One thing that I do that you can see here is that I use a Peak Designs capture clip, which is essentially a little backpack clip with a tripod mount, and I screw it into the back of this unit, and then that clips to my moto bag. Super secure, super stable. And then I can just unclip it. What it does come stock with is a little loop and a carabiner, which again is really, really handy, and I've used that and I still continue to use it. But for me, on the bike, I have the capture clip and then another little clip so that if I do want to like hang it from a tree, which I again will often do because once I'm trying to send messages from camp and stuff, I'll put it in an area that's outside and not under a roof so it can have that line of sight to a satellite. And the reason I keep this on my body is because if I were to ever have a crash and I was away from the bike and I couldn't get to it to hit a button, it's there, it's quick access, always with me. It's peace of mind for sure. Okay, let's talk about the pros and the cons of this unit itself. Okay, the pros would be that it's very lightweight. Again, it's compact, very reliable, excellent battery life, simple, effective, and easy to use. There's no bells and whistles on the unit. It gives you what you need, and I love that about it. What are the cons? There's few, but there are some. With typing on the unit itself, you're not getting like the standard keyboard like you would on a smartphone. Think like T9 with the old like Nokia cell phones. If you're old enough to remember that, you're gonna have to take some time to send your messages if you're gonna do it right through the unit, but it is possible. Another thing is there is a subscription required. In the new world of tech, we're starting to see cell phones have the ability to connect with satellites. I don't think it's quite there yet, and that's why I'm still suggesting one of these units, but you do have to pay for a yearly subscription for the insurance for the SOS, and you also need to pay that monthly subscription. But to me, it's well worth it for the peace of mind, especially with having kids and a young family. Last of all, it's not a standalone GPS without a cell phone. I would even argue to say that a good standalone GPS unit with a screen will beat this and a smartphone in most cases. But again, if you're looking for the convenience factor and you're just looking for the peace of mind of a connection between you and the outside world, a great option. So who's it for? I would say this is for anyone looking to go adventuring somewhere where there's no cell service. I always take it when I'm riding solo, and then I'll bring it on group rides or I'll bring it on long weekend trips where I know we'll be out of cell service. So that is it. Again, guys, this is my quick review. These are about 5-minute long videos and I appreciate you watching them. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe for me. It's really helping out the channel. We're so close to monetization. If you want to see some other videos, I have my first Gear Talk Tuesday up in this corner, and then I'm going to put my minimalist moto camping setup right here for you to watch. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video on Friday.